The 15th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon records Clovis Kamzong Abosolo as winner of the first lap. He grabs the yellow jersey in the course from Puma to Kribi today. Cameroon's friendly nations and partners in development log the country's celebration of its National Day on Unity, the preservation of peace and diversity for prosperity. Details of the messages addressed to the head of state in this newscast. Elections. Cameroon reminds traditional rulers of their role to incite the population to choose their leaders by registering massively in electoral lists as the electoral body assesses voter enrollment throughout the national territory. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 news. The people of Cameroon continue to receive messages of congratulations on the occasion of their National Day celebrated last May 20. The goodwill missives addressed to the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, are from his counterparts in Europe, Asia, America, and Africa. Charles Ebune went through a couple of them and now unveils their content in detail.
The Democratic Federal Republic of Ethiopia, host to the African capital, is one of the many African countries whose president has sent goodwill message to Cameroon for its National Day. The Ethiopian leader, at the head of over 100 million people, just like his Liberian counterpart, George Weah, has congratulated President Paul Biya and the Cameroonian people for their 46th National Day celebration. The North American messages of goodwill and prosperity to Cameroon for the National Day are led by the giant of the area, the United States of America, with this letter from President Donald Trump to his Cameroonian pair, Paul Biya. Across Europe, Ukraine and Poland are amongst the nations to send their letters of congratulations to the Cameroonian people, wishing them peace and stability. And in Asia and the Middle East, the Kingdom of Thailand and Kuwait, two of some of the most developed nations in the world, have maintained to continue their friendly and excellent relations with Cameroon and its people through the leadership currently of President Paul Biya. All the letters have one theme in common: the wish to see Cameroon continue to prosper through peace and harmony for a diverse people therein.
And still on to echoes of Cameroon's National Day celebrations with focus on unity and the preservation of peace for an indivisible and prosperous nation. Cameroonians resident in Tunisia were also part of the events. Cameroon's ambassador to Tunisia, His Excellency Victor Loy, used the occasion to salute the cooperation ties that exist between Cameroon and Tunisia and to call for responsible and patriotic diaspora. Elvis Teke has the details.
The Tunisian capital mobilized to honor Cameroon's 46th edition of the National Day. Cameroonians and friends of Cameroon in Tunis assembled at Hotel El Moradi to celebrate Cameroon's unity and to savor the rich and diverse culture of the country. Cameroon's ambassador to Tunisia, His Excellency Victor Louis, told members of the diplomatic corps accredited to Tunis and other guests at the event that Cameroon, Africa in miniature, is proud of its diversity and has been a hub for major continental and international rendezvous. While highlighting the drive of Cameroonians to live together and build a peaceful and prosperous country, he also saluted the strong ties between Cameroon and Tunisia. He cited the African Building Construction Forum organized in Yaoundé recently as proof of the excellent ties between the two countries that have a common development vision. The Tunisian government was represented at the event by the Minister of Professional Training, Fawzi Abdurrahman, and the Secretary of State for Health, Sonia Beshik. Both ministers joined the ambassador in the cutting of the anniversary cake on May 20.
Back to Cameroon, 20th May celebrations in the meanwhile was full of pomp and fanfare as thousands of inhabitants show their attachment to the unity of Cameroon through songs and placards. The marchers applauded the oneness of the nation in spite of cultural diversity. The parade was chaired by the Menwa Senior Divisional Officer Balungeli Confiance Ibune, as Kelvin Nembo reports.
Cameroon's national unity, integrity and peace has never been put to test as it is the case today. Reason why these inhabitants of the Menua joined their compatriots nationwide to reaffirm their lasting determination to defend and consolidate national unity anyhow, anytime, anywhere. These young Cameroonians have their own say. The SDO for the Menua, Belingili Confiance Bune, who presided over the May 20th parade staged by thousands of civilians and the military, urged the population to be true ambassadors of peace. On the occasion, these hard-working Cameroonians were decorated with medals, while schools that performed well during the march past received prizes of encouragement.
In Cambe, in the northwest region, the population took part in the National Day celebration in spite of the prevailing socio-political crisis. The military, pupils and students from government and private institutions marched past the senior divisional officer for Donga Mantung, Simon Kwenti, who lauded their bravery. Gonige Swabushari reports that some workers were also awarded medals.
The event in Cambe was a veritable showcase of patriotism as the population defied repeated threats from certain quarters to come out massively to celebrate the National Day. The military parade opened the show with detachments of the National Gendarmerie, the Army, the Police, the Penitentiary Administration, the Customs Administration, and ex-service men rivaling each other in their energetic marching steps. The civilian march past that followed saw the impressive participation of primary and secondary school children, as well as students from higher institutions of learning. They marched while chanting patriotic songs and brandishing placard messages, highlighting the virtues of a united, peaceful, and indivisible Cameroon. The participation of political parties was dominated by the CPDM that used the occasion to demonstrate its numerical strength. The presiding senior divisional officer of Donga Mantung, Simon Kwenti, was visibly satisfied with the conduct of the event. The occasion was also marked by the award of 20th May medals to some deserving citizens.
In Santa, still in the northwest region, although the march past was void of pupils and students, the military and the CPDM party supporters were at the ceremonial ground for the celebration. Amidst displays before the senior divisional officer for Santa, Yang Mikala, the population called for the return of peace in the two predominantly English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Kolde Ndofeke Olivier has the details.
Holding under tight security, the military, ex-service men and militants of the ruling CPDM party marched past the Santa ceremonial grounds to celebrate the 46th edition of the unitary state in Cameroon. Inspired by cultural dances and gendarmerie display, some militants appreciate the value of belonging to a peaceful and single nation.
The youths of Santa have come out massively and organized themselves in a peace army to defend peace Santa, to defend any violence, to defend any destruction, any killing in Santa. We want peace to reign. The youth of Santa and the population say they stand behind the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya. He is the one who shall be able to solve the problems of our country, to bring peace to Cameroon.
While calling on President Paul Biya to be their candidate at the upcoming presidential election, they all express concern on the social unrest that is going on in the northwest and southwest regions.
In one of our top stories, Elections Cameroon is evaluating the rate of enrollment on electoral registers throughout the country. The North region currently counts 14,500 persons registered out of the 254,000 recorded in the 10 regions. To lure them to exercise their civic responsibilities, traditional rulers have a role to play. But how far are they involved and what are the strategies used? Bernice Batetata provides answers.
In the heart of Garoua is the Lekam Regional Office. Its functions spread through all the North region, targeting a diverse population. It is the center for the reception of all voter enrollment strategies and electoral material before they get to the grassroots. So the successful mobilization for voter enrollment brings several partners into play.
When we have something to do, we refer to the local authorities who send us to the traditional rulers.
One of such chieftaincy is in Pitwa, a subdivision some 20 kilometers from Garoua. Kerewa is one of the quarters with a traditional ruler governing more than 600 inhabitants. But his self-confidence and eloquence to convince voters to register seem limited. The contrast was evident to that of a traditional ruler in town in Garoua in the Folbere 5 quarter. The talented and knowledgeable traditional ruler eschewed confidence as he affirmed that Folbere 5 contributed to 50% of the total voters enrolled in Garoua council area. First approach is through identity cards.
The presidential decree of 1999 empowers us to assist the population in the production of identity cards. We move into the quarters and search for those without one and assist them obtain one.
The door-to-door strategy comes in when reticence and resistance are observed somewhere. But it is the gender targeting that makes Garoua Council branch peculiar.
I will surprise you with the revelation that more women than men have the enthusiasm to get registered.
Two settings, the rural and urban, and two personalities, which revealed that there was the need for targeting and intensifying capacity building towards knowledge-based sensitization for voter registration.
And we still continue talking about elections. The Director General of Elections Cameroon has been in the far north, in the north and the Adamawa regions to meet with council and divisional branch heads to talk about the future of the body. Details with Bernice Batitata once again.
Like Amchide and Limani near the Nigerian border in the far north region have witnessed sporadic movements and displacement of its population caused by the Boko Haram insurgency. This peculiarity of the region obliges Elections Cameroon to fine-tune its competencies and strategies.
We had to delocate some polling stations during the insecurity period. There's peace now and stability. The populations went back to their villages of origin, and we are now organizing, relocating.
Council and divisional branch heads of Elekam in the far north, Adamawa and north regions have been meeting in a 3-day seminar. The organization and management of elections in a democratic system came under discussions. An enrollment kit handed to divisional delegates at the end of the seminar was demonstrated as solid.
They really are more credible. They have also the technical adjustment which may permit them to transfer immediately after the enrollment to the central database, which may give us the opportunity to produce the voter's card as soon as possible.
A biometric tablet was presented to illustrate the continuous research process being carried out by Lekam in order to facilitate voter registration and ensure a transparent electoral process.
In other news, officials of the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reforms have been seeking ways to foster good governance in the management of the 2019-2021 triennial budget of the Administrative Department. At a 3-day workshop in Kribi, Minister Joseph Lay underscored the necessity for financial resources to be in conformity with actions that reflects collective interests. Details with Joyce Abigail Mfoshi.
It is in Kribi that stakeholders from the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, alongside experts from the Ministry of Finance and equally the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, have come together in an internal validation workshop seminar to prepare and update management documents for the ministry under the budget cycle for 2019 to 2021.
For the next 3 years, we need to see what will be important for us to do. But to do that, we need some means. We also know that the situation is not easy economically and financially. That's why we need to concentrate ourselves to see what is important.
The 3-day exercise has sure given birth to positive reflections and strategic planning.
As the head of state said during the last ministerial council, we must satisfy the Cameroonians.
After drawing the curtains of the seminar, Minister Joseph Lee made a brief stop at the Kribitzip Seaport.
His Excellency Paul Biya says what he does and does what he says. This is marvelous.
Hopes are the budgetary exercise, which consists of allocating and reallocating financial resources to actions, activities, and tasks, will reflect on the density of collective ambition.
From the South region, we move to the far north, where the newly constructed council building in Mora, worth over 200 million CFA francs, has been inaugurated. The edifice, described as a visible effort to promote decentralization by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Ilanga Obam, is expected to accelerate local development in the area. Joseph Ayankaina reports from the far north.
Sounds and rhythms of the Mayo Saba people in Mora gave a particular color to the inauguration ceremony of this building to host the Mora Council, which gets the singular privilege to be inaugurated by the pioneer Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elang Obam. According to the minister, the structure that makes the pride of the people of Mora comes as an impetus that will henceforth redynamize local development and accelerate the decentralization process highly cherished by the government. A step ahead which explains the joy of the mayor, who also received a medal as a recognition of work done so far.
I am very satisfied because the minister came to inaugurate this building. I'm happy for this medal.
Funded by FECOM, to the tune of over 200 million CFA francs, the Mora Town Hall is an eye-catching and imposing architectural jewel occupying a surface area of over 200 meters square. The Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, who also visited some projects in Meri and other localities in the Mayo Sava division, was raised to the rank of Grand Councillor by the Sultan of Wandala in Mora.
The Banking and Finance Forum of the International Relations Institute of Cameroon has called for a more dynamic stock exchange in Central Africa. During the 6th edition of the annual press conference, financial experts joined students to analyze the Central African Stock Exchange and its brunt on the economic advancement of the sub-region. Details with Natasha Lehman-Losher.
The single CEMAC stock exchange is set to go operational by June 2019, but a lot still has to be done for a smooth takeoff.
The merger was in fact to make the market admissible to the states. We need some more time to make all the mechanism ready.
The conference at the International Relations Institute of Cameroon is part of training of future bankers and financial experts. It focused on the merger of the Douala and the Central African Stock Exchange markets, a step to harmonize financial flows in the CEMAC sub-region.
What the student can gain is that they have to learn what is changing in the financial framework here in CEMAC zone.
During the conference, experts proposed the use of the Ohada Uniform Act, a harmonization of procedures, and elaboration of quotas reserved for each member country. The CEMAC stock exchange market is expected to boost economic growth in Africa.
And now on to this philanthropic move, vulnerable women and persons affected by the attacks of the Boko Haram terrorist group in Mora in the Far North region will soon have a mini market and other social amenities at their disposal. The gesture is of an association called Circle of Children, who presented the project to the population as a way of assisting the needy. Cynthia Etim reports on the philanthropic action.
It is the love for country and for humanitarian reasons that the president of the Circle of Children for the Defense of the French Language initiated the project to help the population of Mora in the Far North region of the country. This project means a lot to me. I am doing my best to help our brothers and sisters in Mora. The innovative move consists of the construction of a solidarity mini market. The commercial center, to be built on a 1,000-meter square stretch, will provide social assistance to vulnerable women and to victims of the Boko Haram insurgency in the area. In partnership with the Ministry of Defense and the African Institute of Computer Sciences, the structure will equally have a multimedia center and a library for students and other youths of the region to enhance their studies. It will also be an opportunity for the town to be open to the world.
In this obituary, homage has been paid to Reverend Father Jean-Bertrand Etudi of the Palatine congregation who passed on last April in Rome, Italy. His Lordship Schomberger presided over a requiem mass at the Mary Queen of the Apostles Basilica in Volier. Natasha Lehman-Losher has the details.
Escorted into the church by the members of his congregation in a casket and not on his feet as he did before. This was the last time for Reverend Father Bertrand Etundi to be in the midst of people in spirit. Brothers, sisters, and family members of the deceased converged at the Queen of the Apostle Parish to pray that God should welcome him into his heavenly kingdom. The scripture of the day was taken from the book of St. John, and Christians were urged to believe in God. Jean-Bertrand Etundi was born in 1973, ordained priest on the 26th of April 2003, and died on the 26th of April 2018 in Rome, the same day he was ordained. Before he gave up the ghost, Reverend Father Etundi was the General Advisor and Secretary General of Missions in Rome. After the Mass, he was laid to rest in the Palatine Cemetery in Volier.
May his soul rest in peace. In culture, this week's book is a piece which dissects the cultural heritage of the people of Cameroon. It is outlined in 162 pages under the title Back to My Roots, and it is authored by Asongang Helen Gum. The different cultural zones of the country and how they impact daily lives is in the book perused by our reporter Ashley Lorayu.
Back to My Roots, a 62-page poetry book, is made up of 3 subheadings, such as cultural identity, women, and patriotism. In this book, the poet reveals her patriotic spirit as she makes use of her identity in one of her poems. The poem, My Identity, talks about the African culture, Cameroon being the case study that gives value to its language, customs, and its rich cultural values, a heritage which differentiates Cameroon from other African countries. The poet in her collection handles critical issues in a global and contemporary world, such as consciousness, love, identity, sports, terrorism, religion, amongst others.
I just told God that nature should inspire me with something, and behold, I had this poem on my mind, and I titled it Back to My Roots.
The poem Back to My Roots highlights the suffering and challenges of female folks in a typical patriarchal context. The author makes use of stylistic devices such as simile, metaphor, and onomatopoeia. The 28-year poet Asongang Helen is a bachelor's degree holder in literature and hails from Mundung in the Northwest region.
And now onto this editorial. The business magnate Joseph Kajidifutsu has been awarded a medal of recognition by the President of the Republic. The medal was given to him by the representative of the head of state, the governor of the littoral region, Samuel Dieudonné Ivaha-Diboa. Our reporter, Ebodoris Funkem, tells us more.
He is a household name in the Cameroon business sector. Joseph Kajidifutsu currently employs thousands of Cameroonians through the group that bears his name, Kaji. The business magnate and patriarch of the Bana tribe in the West region has contributed significantly in the development of football through the Kaji Sports Academy. It is based on this track record that the President of the Republic, through the governor of the littoral region, Samuel Dieudonné Ivaha-Diboa, has recognized him. For health reasons, the envoy of the President of the Republic decorated the business tycoon right in his Bonanjo-based home in Douala. He has been elevated to the rank of dignitary of Grand Officer of the National Order of Valor. In 1972, Joseph Kajidifutsu created the Union Camerounaise, the Brasseries UCB, which today employs 1,000 people and produces 5,000 hectoliters of gaseous drinks and 800,000 hectoliters of beer per month. He is the owner of the Super U supermarket that is spreading its tentacles in various urban centers across the country. This recognition, therefore, comes in honor of his greatness buried in humility.
And now in sports, Cameroon's Clovis Kamzong Abosolo is winner of the first lap of the 15th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon. He won the lap in 3 hours, 50 minutes and 4 seconds ahead of Rwandan cyclists Patrick Bukusenge and Frenchman Nathan Pernod. He now gets the yellow jersey of the 154-meter lap from Puma to Kribi. Cyril Noazake is on the race course opened by Sports Minister Bidung Pat. Here's his report.
The population of Kribi singing for their champion, as one can hardly spot him, the hero of the day. Clovis Kamzong Abosolo in the final and decisive sprint beats his immediate follower from Rwanda using 3 hours, 50 minutes and 4 seconds.
I am very happy for this first lap. It wasn't easy, but thanks to my mates who pushed me up, we made it together, and we now have the yellow jersey. The next lap will be very decisive.
The Cameroonian win today in Kribi, Mr. Kamzong Abosolo. I think it's a good thing. I think we are going to continue to win another laps.
Patrick Bukusenge of Rwanda had a tough though using the same time, but a difference in seconds.
First lap is very difficult for me because Rwanda, c'est la montagne. Yes, this is the Cameroon for Sepra. Yeah, guys from Cameroon, he's sprinter. Me no sprinter. Me I like climbing.
It all started in Puma with the sports minister chairing the brief launch ceremony. The cyclists took off from Puma in a park. After a long ride, the first veritable breakaway was in the town of Edea with some Cameroonians among. About 10 meters to the finish line, Kamzong of Cameroon and Patrick of Rwanda fought, but Kamzong got the yellow jersey. With just a few seconds ahead of Team Rwanda, Cameroon during the second lap from Kribi to Douala will have to press hard on the pedals to keep this precious yellow jersey.
And we now end this newscast in which you heard that the 15th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon has recorded Clovis Kamzong Abosolo as winner of the first lap. He grabbed the yellow jersey in the course from Puma to Kribi today. And Cameroon's friendly nations and partners in development have been lauding the country's celebration of its National Day on Unity, the preservation of peace and diversity for prosperity. The details of the messages addressed to the head of state were on this newscast. And finally, elections. Cameroon reminds traditional rulers of their role to incite their population to choose their leaders by registering massively on electoral lists as the electoral body assesses voter enrollments throughout the national territory. At 8:30 p.m., Karine Olivier Abid will be yours for the 8:30 p.m. newscast in French. I'll be back tomorrow, Sunday at 7:30 p.m., God willing, for another edition of the news. Stay tuned and good night.